Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make the perfect pizza in your home oven. I have multiple pizza ovens and some of the best pizza I've ever made comes from my old crappy oven. I'll show you all the steps and everything I do to obtain pizzeria style pizza at home. And honestly, it's not hard at all. The perfect pizza begins with the perfect dough, and I'm going to teach you my perfect dough recipe for an indoor oven. I have made literally hundreds of pizzas, and this is my current recipe that my family loves. Here's the list of ingredients you'll need. King Arthur bread flour, sea salt, sugar, instant yeast, and water. Now for me, the King Arthur bread flour is a non-negotiable. Believe me, I have tried to use other flour. I bought a 50-pound bag of All Trump's high gluten flour, which is super popular among pizza places, but I couldn't for the life of me get it to stretch right with my current recipe. This King Arthur bread flour just works perfect with my recipe, and it stretches great every single time. I'm not as strict on the other brands, but this is what I use. Fine sea salt from BJ's, Florida Crystal's raw cane sugar, Fleshman's instant dry yeast, and room temperature Brita filtered water. So if you're not familiar with baking percentages, this is absolutely the easiest way to get consistent results with your dough every single time. And it doesn't matter how many pizzas you want to make because the recipe will easily scale up or down. In this video, I'm making 4 pizzas, but you can scale this recipe either way and even make smaller or larger pizzas using the same recipe. This is how baking percentages work. The flour weight is always expressed as 100%. In my recipe, I use 60% hydration, 3% salt, 3% sugar, and the yeast percentage is calculated based on the time and temp of the proofing. More on that later. So to simplify this, if I had 1,000 grams of flour, I would need 600 grams of water, 30 grams of salt, and 30 grams of sugar for my recipe. Now I know what you're thinking. How many cups and tablespoons is that? You have to forget all that and buy a scale. Seriously, they're cheap on Amazon. You can even go to Walmart and get one. And once you start weighing out your ingredients, you'll never go back. Measuring with cups and spoons is so inconsistent. Is it a heaping? Is it scraped? Is it loose? Is it packed down? This is just not a precise way of measuring. And I know it's hard to change. I grew up this way as well, but I'm telling you, this is the way. So for my recipe, I am making 4 800-gram pizzas, about 28 ounces each, for a 16-inch pizza. That's on the thicker side, but that's what I grew up on where I'm from in Western New York. I'm using an app to calculate the percentages, and there's a few out there, but I use a free app called the Pizza app. I put in how many dough balls I want and what weight, and I'm actually making 4 pizzas, but my mixer can't handle all that, so I'm doing 2 at a time. For my recipe, I'm putting in 60% hydration and 3% salt. And you can see down here it has an option for the type of yeast you're using and how long the proof is at what temperature. I'll be leaving this out at room temp for about 18 to 20 hours, but if you want to refrigerate it, it will calculate that as well. So for this batch, I need 981 grams of flour, 589 grams of water, 29 grams of salt, and I'm also using 29 grams of sugar as it helps with the browning of the crust. For the yeast, I'm using just a smidgen of instant dry yeast as my scale will not measure 0.31 grams. You don't need a lot of yeast if you're letting it proof at room temp overnight. So my process is I mix the yeast into dry flour, and since it's instant, it doesn't need to be activated. I then mix the sugar and salt into the water and let that dissolve a bit. I can't give you any scientific explanation as to why I do it this way. It's just after so much experimentation, I feel like this gives me the best results. I then slowly pour the water into my KitchenAid mixer with a dough hook at low speed, and once that gets mixed in a little better, I turn it up a little bit. I do 10 minutes total on the mixing. This mixer is old and this is probably too much for it, and I'm sure it's going to die any day now, but this is better than kneading by hand, which you can do if you don't have a mixer and a dough hook. Now that it's done kneading, I take a little flour, put it on my hand and a little on the counter because the dough will be a little sticky and the flour helps with that. And from here I just ball it up and put it into an airtight container to proof overnight. You can use a bowl with some cling wrap if you don't have a container like this. So tomorrow morning, this dough will be almost double in size. Alright, it's roughly 13 hours later and the dough looks great. Like the Bible says, a little leaven leavens the whole lump. At this point, or at least a few hours before I make the pizzas, I like to ball them up and let them rise again. I'm making 4 pizzas, each one is 800 grams. Okay, so this is about 5 hours after I balled them and about 18 hours of total proof time. And they are very ready to stretch. The first thing I do is put some flour on my hands and on the working surface so it's not too sticky. Then I start to flatten them out and stretch. When I can't stretch it anymore this way, I apply the steering wheel method and let gravity work it. And I only do this for a few turns because it can make the dough uneven. And lastly, I give it a few tosses or stretch it with the back of my hands. I pretty much eyeball these to be about 16 inches. Okay, so this is my secret weapon to making pizzas in a home oven. It's just a cheap pizza screen. It's not much of a secret, but everyone talks about baking steels and pizza stones, and I use those too all the time. But for simplicity and ease of use, nothing beats a pizza screen. Think about it. They don't need to be preheated, you don't need a pizza peel so no missed launches, and you can load the toppings on without fear of it not launching off the peel because it's too heavy and sticky. And you can assemble multiple pizzas at once without fear of them sticking to the counter. This is literally the easiest way to make pizzeria style pizzas at home in your oven. So I'm not going too crazy with these toppings. I'm doing a basic cheese and pepperoni, cheese, pepperoni, and banana peppers, my wife's favorite, and I like a cheese and pepperoni with finely chopped onions. I'm using a jarred sauce, Rao's spicy marinara. This stuff is amazing. I currently like it better than my homemade sauce. While I was assembling the pizzas, I preheated my oven to its max setting, 550 degrees Fahrenheit. And because I've made so many pizzas in this oven, I know the first pizza will take about 9 to 10 minutes, the second one maybe 12 minutes, and the third and fourth maybe 12 and a half minutes. But everyone's oven is different, and even though I know, I still check at about 9 minutes. And I really go by how the pizza looks. I have a specific color I'm looking for, but you might consider that well done, and maybe you like your pizzas a little undercooked and a little doughier, so at this point, just take a peek and pull it when it looks good to you. This pizza looks great to me. Let me show you the undercarriage. That's the perfect undercarriage in my opinion, and as good as a stone or baking steel with way less hassle. These pizzas came out fantastic. Honestly, they're some of the best pizzas I've ever made. The crust was perfect, airy, chewy, and just the right crispiness. Ordering 4 pizzas this size in our area would have cost around $100 or more, and these 4 may have cost me around $20 total. That's a huge savings. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I have a link in the description for the pizza screens. God bless, and we'll see you in the next video.